Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Jim Coppinger with ZenTek Consultants, and this is our 3 simple label tools for Civil 3D presentation. So just a few housekeeping items before we get started in the presentation today. Because this is a public forum, I do keep everyone's microphones muted throughout the session. But I encourage you guys, if you have any questions or comments throughout, you can either use the chat dialog box or the questions box if your go-to webinar control panel there. I won't take time to answer them in real time as we go because I do want to get through the whole presentation, but I have allowed a little Q&A session at the end. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of time. And if perchance we run out of time, anybody who sends questions, I'll make a point of emailing answers back to you after the class is over. So thank you guys again for joining. All right, let's go ahead and push through. All right, so for those of you who haven't worked with us before, we are ZenTek Consultants, and we work almost exclusively in the AEC community. We are civil CAD experts, but we also do quite a bit more. We can help you with all of your design needs, whether it's architectural, Revit, all the way through there. We also do it Bluebeam. We're Microsoft certified partners. Really, when it comes to any type of technology or software that you're using, we can help you purchase, install, configure, and customize it, and train your staff on how to use it to the best of their ability. All right, so I hope you guys hit our website, see what else we have to offer. All right, so with that said, let's jump into talking about our 3 very simple labeling tips here, things that you can do inside of Civil 3D that make your life a little bit easier. And that's really where ZenTek focuses on the entire Civil 3D community. We do a lot of work in helping people customize their own CAD standards for the civil world. And these are the kind of things that we always make sure we include in the standard templates that we put together for all of our clients, right? So I figured today we'd show you a few of the neat little things that we do that you can actually go ahead and implement yourself. All right, so the first one is automatically placing general and standard notes. All right, this is a real big one. A lot of times I see people who still have CAD folks typing out general notes on document after document, okay? Or what they wind up doing is just going to previous projects and doing a copy and paste of the the M text from one file to another, which works. It certainly works. It's quick. It's simple. The problem that you run into there is that it's error prone. You don't know, number one, if the layer that the notes were on in the other document are correct, if they're in the same font that your standards are, and most importantly, it's very hard to tell if someone has modified the general notes so that they're off standard. Very often we have to go into the site plan general notes, planting notes, whatever it may be in the civil world, and we have to modify those on a project by project basis. And what happens is we start to pick up errors and non-conformities along the way as we're doing that copy and paste from project to project. Instead, a much simpler way to do that is to actually go in and create those standard general notes inside of your template. So I'm going to jump over to Civil 3D and we can take a look at how this works. So you see today I have a very, very simple Civil 3D drawing up here, just a couple of buildings and a little bit of a property line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my settings tab, and under the general structure, right, I'm going to go under the label styles. And under label styles in the notes section, right, a lot of people ignore this because it just has this general note or note label. It's not something people use all the time, and I think that's a mistake because you can really make your life a lot easier. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a new label style, right, an entirely new label style. And we're just going to go ahead and let's just call that our site plan notes. Okay. And what I'm going to do here, again, you can go through set general, layer standard settings and so on. But really what I want to do here today is I'm going to create a new text label style, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to call this my site notes, right? And then what I want to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to modify the label text for this, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete out what's already in here, okay? And then all I'm going to do is now I have general notes that I need to add. It's a long array of notes. And really, the best way to make this happen is rather than having your people kind of go in here and modify them, I'm just going to switch the justification here to the left side. Having your CAD people type them or copy and paste them. From right here inside the label style, you can actually import text. So you see that what I have here is a general construction note text file, and it could be text, it could be rich text format, Word documents, whatever you can have your admin staff type up for you. Those people who are really good at typing, usually much better than our CAD people, and they do it much more quickly and accurately. I can just go ahead and I can just open up those notes. Just like that, I can bring them in. right? And you see here's all my list of general notes that were brought into this document, right? So I can just go ahead and say okay, right? And actually what I'm going to do in here, it takes a second to process and load it because it is a pretty large file, right? So just give me 1 second. There we go. All right, and then in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this other text item. I don't need that, right? So I'm just going to leave just my site notes in here, okay? Right, and again, it's just kind of processing as I deleted that, right? And there you go. So once I'm done, I can just go ahead and I can adjust the size, the fonts, whatever I want. I'm just going to leave it very basic. It's that easy, right? Go in and I've created a general note label style. So what do I do with that? Now, whenever you go to any document, right? And again, you normally do this inside of one of your site civil templates, right? Anytime now that I need to add those general notes, and I can create different notes for, site plan, civil planning notes, survey notes, typical construction notes, whatever notes you need to reuse, I can just go right to the annotate tab, hit add labels, right? And then right here it comes up under the notes section by default. All I need to do is switch to my site plan notes or whatever other ones I've created and just say add and put them in. There you go. General notes, all done, all typed, all ready to go. And they're consistent, they're set up and structured, right? They're formatted the way I want. They say exactly what I want. They're on the layers that I want. And I've got a consistent standard that I can use project after project after project. And they're that easy, just going up, add the labels, pick the note that you want, add and drop it into your drawing, right? And then you can easily go in if there are changes or modifications that need to be made to any of those notes as local ordinances change or whatever your concerns are, you can just modify that very easily right here inside of your drawing template. So it's a very simple, easy way to be able to add in all the notes that you need for all your projects, right? And not have to worry about that cascading error effect as we're pulling the same problems from drawing to drawing to drawing and getting inconsistent fonts and colors and so on, right? So that's what you can do with tip number 1, automating the placement of general standards and notes. Okay, and as always, we pay for these webinars by a little advertising in between, right? We're here to help you guys update and control your Civil 3D templates and styles. We can actually help you guys create all of these inside of your own standards, right? From whether you're doing it from scratch, whether you're creating or you want to modify your existing templates, whatever the case is, we can help you with that, right? So we hope you head to our website and see what we offer that way. Okay, so our second note for today, our second tip, right, is in dealing with dynamic labels for lot and building areas. Okay, I still see time and time again, right? We're constantly having to calculate, building areas, put in labels inside of a building to say, hey, what's the finished floor plus the square footage of the floor, calculating individual parcel lot areas and so on. Right, it's one thing, parcels, if you take the time to do that, some of us do, some of us don't. I still see a lot of folks going in and drawing polylines and doing calculations and listing an area and manually typing it out with mtext. Again, using basic label styles, you can easily label the areas of just two-dimensional polylines, whether it's lot lines or buildings, in just a few clicks of the mouse. It's all about creating a label style for yourself. So with that said, I'm going to jump back to Civil 3D into this example template that we have, okay, right, that we can come in here, right, and doing exactly the same way. This time what I'm going to do, instead of being under the notes, I'm going to stay under the general section. I'm going to go to the lines, right, and we're talking about area labels, but believe it or not, the place to create those is under your lines, okay? So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to create a new label style, okay? All right, and let's just go ahead and we'll call this one, let's do lot areas first, okay? So I can do a lot areas style. And you see over here when I create a new line style, by default, it gives me all of my basic bearing, distance, direction kind of controls. I'm just gonna delete those. I don't want a direction arrow, a bearing, or a distance in this case. Okay, what I want, so it's in my sample line, I'm gonna add a new tag, right? And we're just gonna call it our lot area. Right? And what I really want in here, right? I'm gonna go into my contents right here where it says label text. Right, and I'm going to clear that all out. And I know I apologize. Sometimes it's hard to see the little formulas here in these windows. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go and say what I want to see is I want to see, I want to say lot area, colon, right, and a space. And then I'm actually going to go in, I'm going to say I want to get the general overall area of whatever item I select. Right, and here I can adjust its rounding to the 10th, to the 100th, whatever I want it to be. I'm going to let it go out to the 100th here. Right, and I'm going to add that in. And then at the end of that, I'm going to put space acres so that I know it's in acres. Okay, and again, I think my typing is off there, A-R-E-S. Yep, sorry, my typing's bad. All right, and I'm just say okay. All right, then I can adjust the height. So if we want this to be, it's going to be a lot. So I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to put that up at like a 1/2 inch text. All right, and I'm going to give it a Y offset of 1 inch. All right, so you can kind of see here where it's going to set. And you can see here's my preview. It's going to say lot area colon whatever it is, followed by acreage. Okay, and I'm just going to say okay. Right? And then exactly the same thing. I can go in and again, I can format that in terms of this one's going to come in along a line, but I would also adjust that for a drag state to get it to the size and option that I need. Right? Now I can just go in and add the labels. Right? And this time I'm just going to switch my label type, right, from notes to lines and curves. And using the single segment option, I'm going to use that new lot area. Now I can just go in and add and say, okay, you know what? What's the lot area for this? Let's just label it right down here. There you go, lot area. There's my acreage. Okay, and again, I could adjust the, the formatting so it came in with, the 1,000 separators and round it up or down. All right, but you get the general idea that I can easily go in and tag and add that for just about anything I need. All right, by the same token, I can go and do the same thing for my building areas. Right, and I can even include standard text for that. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use that lot areas, and I'm just going to copy it. I'm just going to create a new one here. I'm going to call this building areas. Okay, so I'll just call this building areas. And take the copy out of here. All right, and same thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to modify the lot area. Right, I'm going to change the name of that again, just so it's consistent. Right, I'll just call it building area. And this time I'm going to go in and I'm going to modify. Right, but instead of just saying lot area up in front, I can go in, I can start to put in standard things that we need to change. Okay, all right, so I can go in and I can say that I need to, at the top, I'm going to say, building, I don't know, you know what, instead of, let's do it like this. Let's do, I'm going to do finished floor elevation, and I'll put in just a couple of question marks, and then I'm going to hit the enter key so that the footage comes in on the other setup, right? Then in here I will put square footage, right, on the other structure, right? And I'm going to go over here, right, and I'm going to change this volume or value rather. I'm going to change that to the overall area, right? And I'm going to make sure this was in square foot. And someone just pointed out to me, I'm sorry, I'll go back. I forgot to change it from square foot to acreage in the previous set. My apologies, right? And I can just add that in. It's going to do that in square footage for me, right? So there you go. You can see it'll come out saying finished floor elevation, whatever it is, right? And then the same thing, I can just go in and add the label, right? This time I'm going to use, right? Let's go to our lines, right? And switch from lot areas to building areas, right? And then I can go in and I can easily just label my buildings, okay? And then I can easily go into any piece of text, any labeled note. I can just click on that and just say edit the label text for this one, and then I can easily go in and change that to whatever, if this building was finished floor 134.56, right? Easy to go in and change and modify those, okay? Simple thing. I've got a notification on, but that's all right. You guys know how to turn that off. All right, so I can go in and change and modify each one of those. And just to go in and fix, yeah, this is returning this in square footage. So again, I can go back to my lot areas, edit that back up real quick, right? Go back into my layout here, and just take that formula. Right? Oh, sorry, I'm on the tags. Okay, go ahead and switch that back to my lot area. Go to my lot area and switch that into square footage, as you all so kindly pointed out for me. See, I was still in square foot. I can switch that into acreage and reinsert that. I was wondering why that was so big. It's like, wow, that is a huge lot. There we go, 83.02 acres. So that's why I was kind of talking and not paying attention. So that's how quickly you can go in and you can add labels, right, to areas and closed spaces. And they are fully dynamic labels, just like everything else in Civil 3D. See, as I adjust the size of the lot, the labels adjust themselves, right? Again, same thing. When I go in and I adjust scales, right, inside of Civil 3D, the actual sizes of the labels will update as well as I go and I work, right? I have to do a regen to get that, but you get the idea. All right, so that's tip number 2, that we can easily go in and we can add in all of those labels. I'm just going to erase these labels here just to kind of clean that out because I'm going to talk about building dimensions in a minute. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to jump back, right? And again, right, when it comes to these processes, if you guys aren't sure on anything that I'm showing you, we do quite a lot of training on Civil 3D, okay? And we help you pull up your workflows, display styles, your whole process from initial design all the way through final delivery of your setups, and even ongoing technical support that your people can reach out to whenever they need it. So we're here for that. All right, so tip number 3. So tip number 3 is about building dimensions, and this one is actually really, really easy but very useful. You know, we don't always, in the civil world, right, we don't dimension the way that architects do. You know, a lot of times we're going from, you know, building corners to lot corners. We need to go in and we need to put in, you know, the individual segment lengths on our buildings as labeled, kind of like you see here, right? It's not typical, right? And I see a lot of folks struggle with that. And a lot of times what I watch people do is go into Civil 3D, measure the length, and then come back with a piece of text or M text and just type in, you know, this is 30 feet, this is 20 feet, this is 18 feet. And that's time consuming, particularly on a more complicated building, okay, where you need to put that information in, right? And you can use standard Civil 3D practices just to automate that process and have it automatically drop in the individual segment lengths for you of a building in exactly the same way that it'll drop the segment lengths in for your bearing and distance on your property lines. Same exact concept, you just adapt it for use in a building structure, right? So what I'm going to do is the same thing. I'm going to go into the same location under my label styles general, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to add a new label style, right? And let's just go ahead and just we'll call this our building dimensions. Okay, all right, and again, change your format, your font, whatever you need. I'm going to go to the layout tab. All right, and as always, we get the same setups, right? I don't need a direction arrow, so I can delete that. Right? I'm not looking for a bearing, so I can delete that. But you know what? This distance command, that'll work just fine. Okay, I can actually use the distance command that's already defaulting when I create this, right? So now I can just go in, right, and I can adjust the size to whatever I want, right? I want that, you know, 0.2 inches high, right? Or I can go in now to my contents, right? And maybe depending on how I want this label to appear, you see by default, it's already bringing in, oh, sorry, I'm on the label tag again when I defaulted back, right? Go back to my distance here, right? It's bringing in for me the general segment length, okay? I'm using the general segment length value, right? I can set my precision, right? Maybe this is an existing building. We only want to go to the 10th. And then at the end of it, I'm just going to put space and I'm going to put lowercase ft period, okay? So I can easily go in and adjust that, right? Adjust my rounding, my values if I want it in feet, centimeter, inches, right? You can always change whatever values you're looking to work with here, right? Just by changing the drop down, whether you're in meters, centimeters, inches, however you want it to appear, right? Whatever your units are. Right? And I can easily adjust that. So you see they're going to come in with the measured length, just saying whatever the length is, feet, right? Not a problem, right? If I want them to be, you see these are kind of on the bottom here, they're going to be on the outside of the building, right? You know, I'll leave it. I'll come back in and change it afterwards, but I'll make that a little bit bigger, right? I'm going to put that at 0.2, say okay, right? And then same thing. I just go right back to my add labels, right? I'm going to go under my lines and curves. And I'm going to switch my label to my building dimensions. There it is. Okay, so there are my building dimensions. Now I can just go in and I can say, here's the big thing. I'm going to set multiple segments for this. Right? Again, the idea being that I don't want to go in and measure this distance and label it, then measure this distance and label it, or even put a dimension from here to here, another one from here to here, another one from here to here. That's time consuming. Once this is set up inside of your template, you literally just go in, add your labels, set your distance, okay, right? Building dimensions, add, and just pick your building. And just like that, every single setup here is done. And again, you may look at it and go, oh, you know, Jim, that's kind of okay, but it's on the outside. That's all just about formatting, right? I can easily go back in, modify that, and say, look, see right now it's doing a Y offset of 0.025, right? I can set that for a negative 0.03. I want a little bit more space, okay? Ooh. I don't know why that's not moving for me, but it should be. Oh, because I'm in the X, but I'm going the wrong way, right? 0.5 for some, oh, I know why. I forgot to switch to my distance property first. So I'm watching this and why isn't that even put it for negative 0.03, right? You see it's moving that way, okay? Not the way I wanted. Maybe I want it for a negative 0.2. So that's more in that direction, right? Or I can set it for a positive 0.2. That sends it the other way. Set it for a 0.4, right? That's going to move it inside the buildings. And I just say apply and okay. And just like that, I can move my dimensions in. And if that gap's too big, that's all just about formatting and style, right? We don't really have time to get too deep into that today. But that's the basic concept, right? That I can go in and I can easily apply that. And I can just go ahead and just add it to the next building. And I can just work right through my entire project going with that building, that building, that building, that building. And that quickly, I'm able to add all the labels I need in terms of outlining the building areas, the lot areas in just a few seconds, right? 3 simple, basic, easy to use tips that anybody can apply to your current standards, right? And again, we are ZenTek Consultants. We do a lot of training on this as well, beyond just helping you guys set it up for yourselves. If you'd rather teach your staff how to do it, or you need help learning how to do this sort of thing yourself in your own templates, right? We train on all aspects of civil 3D design, from initial site layout through advanced structures, pipe networks, storm and sanitary analysis, whatever you guys need. And I hope you'll hit our website and see what else we have to offer for you. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a minute here and look back on some of the questions that I got. I think a couple that came in. Number 1 from Danny. He throws in a note. The only problem is that you cannot adjust the notes in any way. Actually, as I think I showed you in there, Danny, for any of those notes, even like the general notes, right, you can always go back in and do an edit text. Even if I go in and throw in I think that was during the general notes section, right? So if I go in and I add in my general notes, right, that I can go in and I can actually edit those using the edit label text, right? Exactly the way that you would for anything else. So if I wanted to go in and, type more things in here, I just go in and type more things for this specific note. I can even go in and modify the formatting just for certain areas, right? So if I wanted to take that and I wanted to make, that red and a different font, right? Whatever I wanted to do, I can absolutely do that and then just say, okay. And I actually use that methodology as a way to highlight areas and notes within the general notes that need to be changed. Sometimes we put in like it's either, this municipality or that municipality in our general notes. And usually you're going to highlight one and delete the other, right? I highlight those items so that people know which areas to go in and modify. So you can directly modify your general list with no problem. All right, the other one we had, Jason pointed out that my label was in square feet, right? So I think I pointed that out and we fixed that, right? So it was actually in acres. All right, I got another question from Terrence. It says, can I add text like building numbers to style or individual buildings? Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I was showing you, you can go in any of these, same thing. It does not matter. Right? Whether it's in the acreage or whatever, you can go on any text label and just hit the edit label text and pick that item, right? And you can go in and either before or after type, building numbers or anything, okay, that you want. And again, my typing's bad, so I apologize, but you see I can easily go in. Right? You just need to turn off those notifications. But these notifications show you when you've modified a note. But you see I can type in building notifications or whatever I want. Okay, and I got one more question from Andrea, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Is it possible to change from acres to square footage or hectares? Yes, right, and no. So in the calculation field, right, for this, right, when I'm working on that, if I want to change this from acres to hectares, I can just go back and I work with the lot areas, right, and then I can just go in to the lot area layout, right. So the yes part is that I can easily come in here, switch this to hectares, and then just kind of re-import this over, right? And say, okay, all right? And I should probably also change my manual label that I put in there. I can just change this now to hectares, okay? And say, okay, right? And you see it does actually update and change the numbers, right? To 80.75. Okay, I'm having a lot of fun here today. Go ahead, move this out, okay? Right? Apparently I didn't save that, right? But I can switch it between acres and hectares and whatever else I wanted to say. But when I do that, right, what happens is that it's changing all of the lots throughout the setup for me, okay? All right, so yeah, I need to re-import the general overall area there. I'll just do that, right? And say, okay. Oh, because this one isn't, I know why, because I actually edited the label text on that. That's why, because that one's been overridden. If I go in and add the labels, right? And again, we'll switch it to the lines just to show you what I'm talking about here, Andrew. Right, so if I go back to the lines and curves, right, and let's do our lot area, right, and I'm just gonna do a single segment and add again. Now you see this will just come up with just the hectares, okay? All right, so yeah, I can switch it, but if I do, it updates everything, right, that's using that style. I can't individually, the no part of that is that I can't individually change the square footage for just one of these. I'd have to create a lot area in acres and a lot area in hectares and then apply different styles to each of those. Okay, so with that said, I think that answers all the questions, and I think we are just about out of time. So I'm going to go ahead and again, remind you guys that we do quite a lot more than just the civil world. We're partners for all of these different softwares and processes and procedures, and we're to help you with all your design information. And we'd love a chance to work with you guys, and hopefully you'll take the time to visit our website. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Our phone number and email is up there on screen. Other than that, I want to thank you guys for joining us today, and I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.